What's up guys, it is Dragon Ball for Life here today and I'm back with another video. Now today's video I'm going to be reacting to another Death Battle video, another Marvel vs DC one, Thanos vs Darkseid. Now I was looking at their catalog of their other videos and I didn't find most of them other ones very interesting. If I'm being honest, majority of Death Battles are kind of dumb because a lot of them are characters that nobody really cared about fighting against each other, if I'm being honest. But there's some that they have that are really highly wanted, and this is definitely one of those. So I'm going to be definitely checking this one out. But before I get into that, I do want to give a big thank you to... I want to give a big thank you to Word Y. I think that's how you spell Word Y. He's been commenting on a couple of my videos. He's a cool dude. He seems like he's very positive, and he's been saying a lot of nice stuff to me. So I just want to give you a big thank you for, all the the comments and stuff you've been making on my channel. It always means a lot to me when I produce a video and then I have people commenting and talking about it, whether it's even negative or positive. At least I have something I can engage with people, and I can see that there's an audience there that I can talk to. So yeah, hopefully this video does good. I'm gonna try to keep this one short as possible, but I don't know if I can.
Over 1 million years ago, when mankind's evolution first broke away from the apes, the cosmic celestials arrived on Earth. They experimented on the human race, creating those with a latent mutated gene, which would one day...
Like that one website with all the board. Science wizard named Mentor, whose collars like the lamps.
Perfect people. Mentor's own son would change this forever and force the cosmos to its knees. His name was Thanos.
You were a fool to betray me, Ronan. Prepare to meet your doom.
Thanos was born into a life of luck. You do.
Those experiments weren't quite so body and thick
6'7", 985 pounds, 2,235 years old. Huh? Okay, pretty big.
Sin were thanks to a deviant mutation.
Which you'd think would mean everyone would hate him. But nope, the Eternals were super progressive and totally cool with a wrinkly grimace walking around.
In fact, Thanos was greatly admired for his exceptional intelligence and creativity. He was set for a positive and decorative...
I'm going to be skipping this because I've actually read I know more about Thanos than Darkseid, even though Darkseid I've seen way more. But I've read the comic book and stuff, so I know quite a bit of it.
Quest to ravage the universe in her name.
And strongest enhancements.
And while his physical and psionic abilities are impressive, his incredible genius led to building massive spaceships, shields that can withstand planet-level attacks, and even a ton led to building massive spaceships, shields that can...
This case, all he did was get Thor mad at him, and that he wasn't pretty peeved anyway. He really kind of wondered what made Goldilocks without me. I mean, that doesn't showcase that it can handle, planet-level destruction. Not saying that, because people, the argument they're going to make is, well, he was able to handle, a pissed-off Thor's hammer smash with the shield. It was able to handle it. But remember, not all the comic book characters throughout the entire, entirety of their runs have had the same level of power. They fluctuate depending on, the decade they came out of, the specific comic book it's from, and the writer that's written these characters. So just because we've seen Thor be planet level before does not mean every time we see Thor hitting somebody with his hammer or them being able to handle it means that they're getting hit with planet destroying level attacks. Who knows? Unless in this comic he destroyed a planet just like right before and then did this, then I guess you'd have an argument, but there's nothing stating that the shield can withstand a planet level destroying attack. And from what it looks like the shield is getting completely destroyed anyway, so it seems like it wouldn't be able to handle that level of power anyway.
Can withstand planet level attacks and even a time window.
And the most badass throne ever. It comes packed with its own laser weapons, light speed travel, and it can teleport through space and time.
And unlike most Eternals, Thanos has also dabbled in the mystic arts. Petrification, curses, even...
There's no point of mentioning the chair because they can use outside help, so they're not going to be using a gadget like that, unless if it's a part of them, but he can be using that chair anyway.
Some of his throne's abilities seem to be more magic than hard science. All of this potential makes Thanos an incredibly dangerous foe.
Yeah, good luck trying to hurt him. He can survive pretty much anything, including a gun specifically designed to kill him. He even shot himself in the face with it just to prove how goddamn awesome he is. Don't try that at home, kids.
He's strong enough to overpower two Thors at once, snap a universal weapon known for its extreme durability, and even lift the gargantuan Galactus engine.
A giant super rocket big enough to move planets. According to Mr. Fantastic, and that guy knows his stuff, this thing is hundreds of miles long.
While the Galactus engine's size seems to vary from comic to comic.
Yeah, in that comic, it didn't look like it was 100 miles long. It was like, he's 6'7", so he was pretty much almost the size of the engine itself. The engine was just a bit bigger, like around like maybe 10 feet. So yeah, I wouldn't take that too seriously. Also, even if it can push a planet, doesn't mean that because you can lift it up, then that means you're doing the same thing, you know? That's like, that doesn't equate the same. Just because the machine can move planets doesn't mean you lifting up the machine means that you can also move planets. That has no real correlation.
Reed's assertion matches its appearance when it propelled Ego the Living Planet. By examining the engine in 3 separate parts, applying the density of steel, and comparing Ego's diameter of 4,165 miles, we found that Thanos must be lifting about 50 quintillion tons. That's like holding up 140 trillion Empire State Buildings.
Where the fuck did they get this from? Like, they even stated themselves that the size changes depending on the comic book. And looking at that comic, the thing does not look like it was even a mile long. Like, Thanos is only 6'7", which is big, but he's only 6'7", and that ship wasn't that much bigger. Just look back at it.
5 miles, we found that Thanos must be lifting about 50 quint...
Look at it. How? You're telling me that that thing is that size? Yes, it was comparable to in that comic, but in this comic, it does not look like it's the same size. Also, what does the size of it have to do with anything being able to push it? Just because it has jet engines that are strong enough to push a planet does not mean that lifting it up itself would be equivalent to that. Their calculations are so stupid. Like some of the stuff they say is so dumb. Like this thing, like, okay, it's a machine that can do that. Him lifting up the machine, how does that, explain to me, how does that equate to him being able to lift up 50 quintillion tons or around a planet? Also, Ego is quite a small planet. You even see by the diameters they gave for that one. It's far smaller than the Earth. So the Earth, it makes sense why it weighs so much because of the size and the mass. Unless if Ego was made out of some heavy, dense material, I can't see him being that heavy. Unless if they stated specifically how much he weighed. I highly doubt he's that much. So this doesn't really... I'm not saying that he can't lift up 50 quintillion tons, but this feat alone does not prove that argument. It's just very... There's a lot of problems with it. It's very faulty.
Tons. That's like holding up 140 trillion Empire State Buildings.
And he's doing this inside the gut of a living Kurt Russell planet that eats other planets and even stars. Man, I thought I had an iron stomach.
But destroying a star isn't a simple thing. Any energy directed toward a star would just be absorbed and adapted to. Only by completely nullifying a star's constant energy output can it be eliminated.
So Ego's stomach acid must be deadlier than frigging supernovas or
No, this is how they try to change stuff up to make it sound like this. What Ego probably have done in that thing, just because he eats a star does not mean he's destroying it. Destroying something and absorbing it are two different things. He's not blowing up the sun and, you know, just eating it. He's just probably just digesting the solar radiation into his body and devouring it. How is eating a star the same as equivalent to blowing up the star, you know? Like, because he eats it, it's equivalent to blowing up stars, so it's beyond supernova level. And his like gastric juices, they're saying that it has power higher than a supernova. That doesn't make any sense. The comic book is probably not going by it can, you know, overcompensate the destructive power needed for a star, because they're saying that any energy that you send at it will be absorbed by it unless of it, you know, like detonates it off. But he's not destroying it, he's devouring it. He's just sucking up the solar radiation. How the hell is that equivalent to a supernova?
black hole.
Or a black hole?
Probably love Mama Boomstick's world famous ghost pepper pie.
Ugh.
It's fine, just dip it in some squirrel paste.
Surviving the stomach of Ego isn't so far-fetched from...
The black hole Thanos survived at an event horizon of 2 light years before collapsing on him. This would release a total mass energy of total 274 septillion tons of TNT. That's enough to destroy a galaxy. 274 septillion tons of TNT. Okay, let's see how many tons of TNT does it take to destroy a planet. They stated it takes 53 quadrillion to 110 quadrillion tons of TNT to destroy the Earth, right? So if it takes that much to destroy the Earth, septillions is quite a bit bigger than, you know, quadrillion, but quadrillion and septillion is not that significantly bigger. The amount of power you would need to take for you to be able to destroy a planet compared to, you know, a let's say what's the thing called, let's say an entire galaxy significantly bigger, because our galaxy itself can hold has 100 billion stars. Okay, it has 100 billion stars, meaning at the very least, it has 100 billion solar systems. Most possibly less than that, around there, give or take, because not every star has a planet orbiting it. Some just are stars solely off on its own. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is they're saying that 274 septillion tons of TNT is what it takes to destroy a galaxy. But they've stated in their Goku versus Superman video that already like 53 I think it was 53 quadrillion megatons of TNT, or to 110 quadrillion tons of megatons of TNT equals to planet level. And it's funny because even in that one, they equated Goku's durability to, you know, I forgot how much it was, but I know it was in the sextillion tons of TNT, which is right below septillion. It's like a million below billion, which is quite still bigger, but they put him at something sextillion tons of TNT. If you rewatched the original Goku vs Superman video and see the final analysis on Goku stats, or if you watch on my video, I talk about it. But yeah, they put him in the sextillion tons of TNT, but they never put him anywhere near galaxy level. This would, if that was the case, then that would have put his destructive output and destructive being able to take it in would be equivalent or close enough to galaxy level in there. But they never argued that, so because they at most put Goku at like high planet level, maybe star level, I think. But now they're saying that one that's just one like level above is galaxy level. I just don't believe it. I don't think this math is correct. Also, like I said, surviving the stomach of Ego does not mean that he was surviving, heats of the past the heat of a star.
Considering he's also survived a dip in a black hole, extreme reality warping across the metaverse, and the voice of Black Bolt.
What's so special about this guy, you ask? Well, with just a whisper, he obliterated 1 billion tons of rock. This guy can easily break a planet with just one shout, and Thanos took 3 of them to the face.
He has, and that's true, but from that comic book that they're using it, from what I heard was that was actually a Skrull that morphed into Black Bolt. Not saying that he could not tank Black Bolt's scream, because I definitely think Thanos could, but if they're using that one, just know that was not actually Black Bolt. It was on the moon, Earth's moon. It was not Black Bolt. That was a Skrull that basically, this around like the Secret War stuff, where like the Skrull and Kree invasion type story arc. And one of them came in and took over him, and he was basically captured and stuff. So that's not actually Black Bolt screaming in his face.
Although Thanos isn't known for being a speedster character, he's still quick enough to battle the likes of Silver Surfer, a being who can cover 500,000 light years in just a couple of seconds, putting him over 3 trillion times faster than light. With so many impressive showings, it's hard.
Silver Surfer is very powerful, and he's definitely stronger than him.
Oh, god damn it.
Slayer of Deathstroke. Big purple crybaby.
And Pony,
We did.
The goddamn bit. I know what I'm not.
even with all of these powers and abilities, Thanos still felt he needed something more to impress Death. Think he's compensating for something, Wiz?
Oh, absolutely. So he built the Infinity Gauntlet, a golden glove which harnessed the power of 6 multicolored gems.
Sorry for the noise
Infinity.
Sorry for the noise outside. There's some construction work around my house. It happens every so often, so sorry if you hear some hammering or some buzzsaws going off.
Stones. With these, he can control the full spectrum of space, reality, mind, powers.
It's pointless that they're explaining this, because I do remember like some of these, like the older ones, I have seen just the ending analysis of it, and it was like when it first came out, so this is definitely years ago. But from what I remember, they stated they're not going to use Infinity Gauntlet Thanos, because 1, it's too ridiculously OP, 2, it's him using an outside force to help him out. And they said the reason they're not using it, and they're also not using the anti-life equation for Darkseid. They're like, well, if we use this, then we have to use the anti-life equation for Darkseid, which would give him even more of an advantage. So they negated that fact. So them really going in depth and explaining how the Infinity Gauntlet works and, you know, the power of it and how powerful it is pointless because they're not going to use it anyway. So what's the point of wasting your time doing that? Also, we all know, I think pretty much anybody who knows anything about, you know, Marvel would know that the Infinity Gauntlets only work depending on the universe that they're in. Even in the you know, in the Marvel universe, if you go outside of our 616 and go to another universe, like, you know, the universe, the Ultimate Universe, like let's say Darkseid goes from Earth 616, Universe 616 to you know, the Ultimate Universe, and tries to use his Infinity Gauntlet, it will not work. Those Infinity Gauntlets only work in the specific universe. So in this fight, yeah, it would be pointless anyway, even if they gave it to him, because, you know, Darkseid's from DC, so it wouldn't work. Just like when people try to use this character can time travel, and it's like, well, this fictional universe doesn't go by time travel that way, so it's not going to work. So I see it that way, but yeah, this is pointless.
Planet isn't the
Green, but in the original comics, it works exclusively there. And
don't get
Yeah,
me,
that's
but
right.
he also started going a bit crazy and began to doubt his ability to perform. Hey,
instant lust for power, everybody.
Arrives all
10 billion years ago, the primeval old gods clashed. Explosion.
original. Well, some of these include Alpine Genesis. Well, their
Older brother, Drax. Not Dave Bautista Drax, but Drax was meant to enter the mysterious open.
I already know his backstory too, especially the newer
was
one.
kicking new Genesis.
He's 8'9", 1,815 pounds, 245,000 years older. So since he's quite a bit older than Thanos, so he would definitely have the you know, edge when it comes to years of experience and training and fighting. He also has more height and weight than him, though when it comes to superpower beings, it really doesn't matter as much, but that's just another thing to help him out in a stat boost.
His ass or giving the Man of Steel a hard time. Darkseid was always working toward his one goal, conquering all life.
And thanks to his new god physiology, he has incredible superhuman strength, speed, agility, and even immortality. He's already over 245,000 years old, and that's given him plenty of time to push the limits of the Omega Effect.
He's got a whole bunch of cool Omega
That one
powers
looks
that
cool.
break all the rules of nature. He can teleport across time and space, fly at unthinkable speeds, warp reality around him, and grow supersized.
Something he's pretty used to doing. The scale between the Prime Universe and Darkseid's own universe, the Fourth World, is vast. He travels between universes via boom tubes, which automatically adjusts his size to what is considered normal within his destination. Otherwise, he'd have a hard time fitting in, given that the normal size of a new god is about the size of a star.
Haha, yeah.
Given that the normal...
While the terrible gravity of Darkseid twists space towards his own hand, while time itself is pulled like taffy, I live days between each second. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense. The something that's very big or has a high level of mass will have a higher sense of gravity and pull it. And if he is the size of a star, he would definitely, at that range, be, you know, warping gravity and time itself around there. But this doesn't mean he's like, you know, because some people might take this out of context and say, well, he has the ability to warp reality and time. But no, it's just scientifically, if you're big and you have a bigger mass, then you're gonna be doing those things anyway. So it's not like just him having the power of warping reality. It's just basic science and how it works. But yeah, that is true. When they go through the boom tubes, they shrink in size to be more comparable to there. And then when people go through the boom tubes to their world, they grow in size, so they get bigger. Though I've heard people kind of over-exaggerate the size that they will grow to. Some people state that, them going through the boom tube, if they went through there instead of going through a boom tube, they'll be the size of a universe or the universe itself. But from what I'm seeing here, they will be around like star level or large planet level of size, which is still impressive and still very powerful, but it's not quite universal size. And the reason that matters is because if people say these universal size, then they're like, well, you have to have a destructive power as big enough to destroy a universe to wipe him out. But that's not the case. Since he's pretty much like star or planet or large planet size level, you would just need powers around there to destroy it. Not saying that means his durability would just be that, but just size alone, that's all the power you would need to destroy somebody. But it's nice that they put that in because I've heard too many people over exaggerate and saying he's universe size.
The size of the new god is about the size of a star.
Yeah, I've had that kind of trouble with my boomstick too.
He can use various psionic powers like telekinesis and telepathy, and can easily manipulate sentient beings thanks to a cosmic awareness of the multiverse powered by 18 divine senses.
You know, I bet he never forgets where he leaves his keys.
That's kind of funny because in real life people think we have like 5 senses. We have way more than that. So him saying he has 18 divine senses, I don't know what he means by divine. Maybe it's like, you know, superpower type of senses, but in real life we have way more than 5. I think we have like around 20 or something like that. We have many senses that we just don't know of or usually focus on. But yeah, that's not really that crazy.
Like a space-age necromancer, Darkseid can possess living or deceased beings, controlling them like puppets. He can even control basic inanimate objects, just like the Nomad of Nowhere.
Ah, holy shit! Wiz, never thought I'd say this, but I might have had too much.
These burning lasers of hatred are
Oh my god. I mean, there's nothing crazy to say about this.
transmute matter, erase beings from existence, or trap enemies in self-contained reality, where they live out an infinite is a sort of life existence, or trap enemies in the Omega Sanction. The Omega Sanction is a sort of life trap. Its target enters a self-contained reality, where they live out an infinite number of lives for eternity.
Oh, that doesn't sound so bad. I'd just do a Bill Murray and use all those lives to learn piano or save a dog or... Yeah, that's probably about it.
Well, there's a catch. Each life in the Sanction gets progressively worse as it goes, including how you die. When the third Mr. Miracle was trapped in it, he was fairly unaware, until he was beaten, burned, mutilated, and castrated, broken to a point of intentionally overdosing. And that was just his first life in the Sanction.
Oh. No thanks. I'm good.
To overpower...
But I just want to know, how does he do it? Does he do it through his own power, or does he do it through an apocalyptic, apocalyptian tech? Because we know that on Apocalypse and New Genesis, they do use a lot of tech like boom tubes. So is he using it through tech or through his own physical power? Because if he's using it through tech, then that doesn't really count. If it's through his own physical power, then that's very, you know, powerful. But here's the thing. How often does he use it? That's one question I have. And another question I have is, to what level could it work on somebody? Basically talking about how powerful would it, how powerful of a being could it work on? Because Mr. Miracle, if I'm being honest, is not really that powerful. He's basically like, even though he's a new god, he's still kind of around like human levels. He's nothing really crazy. So I want to see how impressive it is against a powerful being or a godly being. Would it be able to work on them, and would it be able to affect them? Would they be able to break out of his, you know, genjutsu, or would they be trapped in it? Because a lot of times people try to use these abilities, like no limit fallacy stuff. I've mentioned it before, especially in my last video. But people try to use these no limit fallacies to be like, oh, this character going just using this thing. It's like, well, how often do they use it? How is it? How does it work? And on top of it, what's the limit to it? I highly doubt that this could work on every character. This could probably work on certain characters and certain characters of certain levels, but I think characters who have a stronger level of mindset, or, you know, psychic abilities, or just a certain level of strength, I don't think it will be as useful against them. So yeah.
Power of the multiverse, Darkseid would face some pretty steep competition. However, his power eclipses those of even some of the strongest heroes around.
He's fast enough to take a trip to the source wall in just a few seconds. That's at the very edge of existence. Take a trip to
The source wall and all the years I have longed for this moment and never... I want to know, did he, where was he at first? Like, people are saying he went to the source wall and it's like the edge of the universe, that's what they're talking about. It's like, but where did he start off from? Did he come from, you know, like Apocalypse down to there? Like, how far is that distance from Apocalypse to the source wall, or wherever he was in the universe itself? And did he literally fly, or did he teleport there? There's a lot of things to be taken into context when it comes to it. We know that the DC universe is 100 trillion light years across, but just because it's 100 trillion light years across as a whole, it still matters about where he was at. So we need to know the location so we know a specific amount of distance that he traveled. Second of all, did he teleport, or was it purely through, you know, flying or moving ability? And, you know, how long did it really get there and stuff, so.
the source wall in just a few seconds. That's at the very
Also,
edge of
Lucy-
stuff to take a...
And so it begins moving at unthinkable speed to an unimaginable distance. So yeah, okay, technically he is flying. He is flying, so it's not teleportation. It just looked like teleportation right there. So both of them are flying, and it does mention their speed. But once again, what distance did they go? Just because they went to the source wall does not mean that they were closer. I mean, depending on where you are in space, you could be closer or further away. So that really also matters.
A trip to the lake. You're not gonna be able to map quest that shit.
The edge of the observable universe is about 45 billion light years away, and scientists hypothesize the actual scale is over 106 trillion times greater. It took a whole year for the legendary Helm of Nabu to make this journey. But for
Wait, are they talking about in real life? Because in real life, it's stated that the universe, the actual universe, is like 256 times bigger, not that much bigger. It's not in the 6 trillion times. That's crazy. Unless they're talking about the DC universe, which is stated to be bigger, but even then, it wouldn't be the case because even taking the calculations that we have with the observable universe is 93 billion light years across. If we take in the calculation of the 256, it will go up to 25 trillion. And theirs is like 4 times that. So it will be around the thousands of range, but definitely not in the 6 trillion tons of range. 6 trillion times a range. I don't know where the hell they got that ridiculous number. Once again, they're not specifically telling us where he was. They're using, like our world, like, the edges and stuff, but they're not saying where he was at. Did he start from one end of the universe and then fly all the way to the other end of the universe, or was he just at some point in the universe and then flew there? Because it really depends on where you are, and they're not giving real measurements. And they stated Dr. Fate's helmet moving across the universe, did it once again go from the end of the universe to there? Also, the helmet moving doesn't mean just because if someone puts it on that they will be moving at that speed. It's just the helmet itself moving.
All of 5 seconds. To pull this off, he'd have to be moving over 87 duodecillion times the speed of light.
Which is totally a real number that I understand.
Yeah, like I'm saying. Okay, so it shows right there. There's the planets right there. That seems to be New Genesis, and that seems to be Apocalypse. You probably can't tell me pointing at it, but this seems to be New Genesis and Apocalypse, and they, for some reason, it seems like it's in the universe itself, and not in their fourth world, unless maybe there's a comic book where they somehow got their worlds transported to the regular realm, and fourth world was, off somewhere else. They left their fourth world wherever. But even going from there, that would not make it that distance, Like I said, if any of you guys know where it is or where this comic book was from, refer to me because I want to see the actual distance. They seem to be stating that he was on one end and then went to the other end, but it doesn't show where that it stated that. Also, it doesn't state that it went in 5 seconds. Where does it state that they went there in 5 seconds?
But if he's super big in fourth world, wouldn't he have an easier time getting to the edge?
We're factoring the scaling across his universe as a whole. Besides, technically the fourth world is 4 billion years older than our own universe, so the distance to the edge is probably even further.
He's so quick, he can choke out Superman before he even sees him.
Well, the fourth world is an outer dimensional place. Does it have the same properties as our universe? I've never heard anybody talk about it. Does it grow? Because we know our universe expands and keeps on continually expanding. But does the fourth world actually expand, or is it just a dimension as a whole that's, has a fixed size that's already at? So yeah, I'm saying flying out of there to there is how did they get from there? I just want to see the comic books because I want to see specifically what happened there. Survived a bomb designed to rip apart existence. I will need to see that comic book also. Flew to the source wall in seconds. Destroyed a planet with Omega beams. Okay, crushed the Green Lantern ring. Pretty easy. His own death collapsed reality. I'll get into that one because they do mention True Form Darkseid, and that's a pretty big debate. His outsmarted the omniscient source. Beat both pre and post Crisis Superman. True. But his depending on different times and stuff, Darkseid changed his powers changed throughout the time too.
Yeah, we knocked him out cold in just a few bitch slaps. And Superman can survive supernovas to the face. Also, since Darkseid wasn't affected by the Crisis Mega Reboot, it's still canon that he can blitz pre-Crisis soups who can sneeze solar systems away.
Darkseid.
So I want to go back on that again, just to hear it again, so I can get my thoughts fully on what I hear.
He can blitz pre-Crisis. That wasn't affected by the Crisis Mega Reboot. It's still canon that he can blitz pre-Crisis soups who can sneeze solar systems away.
Darkseid is strong enough to crush a lantern.
Okay, let me go on that. The whole, pre-crisis, pre-crisis and post-crisis Superman and Crisis on Infinite Earths. Now, the Crisis on Infinite Earths did reset and reboot the DC multiverse, but since the fourth world is outside of the DC multiverse, it technically should not affect it. But here's the problem with this. They're saying that he was able to beat himself, but there's a couple of things wrong. One, when you look at different versions, there are different versions of Darkseid and different reality versions of him. So to say this Darkseid is not affected by it because of he's outside the fourth world, it isn't true, because if that was the case, then there would be only one Darkseid throughout all of these comic book issues. But we see different variations of him, and every time the timeline restarts and stuff, he still gets affected by it, or his character gets changed. So if he didn't get affected by it, why would his character get changed, So it just contradicts it in that part. So I don't know if they're 100% telling the truth there. Also, another thing is, if he can, he could handle, post-crisis Superman or, Silver Age Superman and handle him and even beat him. And now he's fighting as pre-crisis Superman, if he could beat pre-crisis Superman, Silver Age Superman, and now he's fighting as post-crisis Superman, then how does post-crisis Superman even hold a candle to him at all? Because we know the level of power between pre-crisis Superman and post-crisis Superman is significantly different. Pre-crisis Superman is significantly more powerful, and we saw this with Superboy Prime. If you guys go check out my How Strong Superboy Prime video, I explained in that video that his power sets didn't change because he was stuck in a dimension that was outside of, reality getting, reset and stuff. So basically, Superman got weaker when Post-Crisis came out, and Superboy kept the power that he had, which was equivalent to pre-crisis Superman. And when he broke out, all hell broke out loose, because he started bodying literally all the heroes. He bodied every hero. He bodied the Justice League. He bodied the Titans. He bodied the Green Lanterns and Post-Crisis Superman. He could have easily have killed Post-Crisis Superman, but he had other reasons why he didn't. But yeah, we saw how much of a one-sided battle was. Post-Crisis Superman was so, weak compared to him that he required a whole team to handle him, and even then he couldn't beat him, and he had to use a tactic of, throwing him through a red sun, which was the only weakness he had, to depower him and make him more human to beat him. But without that, he couldn't beat him. So if he had to do that to beat someone like that was pre-Crisis Superman level, but now he's fighting against Darkseid, who is stronger than pre-Crisis Superman and does not have that weakness, and fighting him one-on-one, how does Superman beat him? Maybe the time changing did affect it. Maybe at first it didn't, but remember, these different writers take these interpretations different ways. That's why I don't like when people are like, well, it's stated this, but it's like every writer does it differently. So just because there was some writers that were like, yep, he's pre-crisis Superman level and his power didn't change, other writers don't do that, because there's comic books where Superman gets completely bodied by the Darkseid, and there's other ones where he's able to go toe-to-toe with him and even beat him, and it doesn't really make sense. So all I'm saying about that is, yeah, it technically shouldn't have changed him, but we've seen all other alternate versions of him, and on top of it, if that was the case, then there's no way in hell Superman would be able to beat him, even with the whole, all the superheroes, because we saw all the superheroes couldn't even beat pre-crisis Superboy, and he was weaker. He was equivalent to pre-crisis Superman. Darkseid is supposed to be stronger, so he's even higher level of power. And he did have a vulnerability he could use, whereas Darkseid, I don't think really has one to exploit. So yeah, I'm kind of iffy on that statement.
Bring with ease, destroy planets with his Omega beams, and wipe out the Justice League with a single strike. Even with all of this power, Darkseid believed he could not dominate the universe until he discovered his ultimate prize, the anti-life equation.
Ha! I knew numbers were bad for you. Take that, Miss Jensen, and your stupid ruler.
It's a piece of the source from which all life originates. However, Darkseid discovered a formula which essentially manipulates the anti-life's presence in all living things, in a manner which definitively proves that all freedom and hope are meaningless efforts.
So it's math that just makes you sad.
Yes, and a slave to Darkseid, but yes. So, the anti-life is pretty weird, but you know what's even more so? The Darkseid that you think you know isn't actually Darkseid.
You say what now?
He became the very essence of tyranny itself. This non-corporeal god rests in the higher plane of Fourth World, and molds avatars of his consciousness to interact with the multiverse around him. While each avatar is weaker...
Well, here's the thing about the Fourth World. people use this like, oh, because I was wondering, well, if the ones that we see are all avatars, then where the hell is the real one, his true self? And by their definition, he's in the fourth world. But here's the problem with that: Superman and Justice League have gone to the fourth world countless times and fought him. Doomsday versus Darkseid, that fight happened on the fourth world. So if he resides in the fourth world, and his avatars just come down there, then how come he got his ass beat there by Doomsday, and people are arguing that that was his avatar? So if he resides there, but his avatar resides there. Also, it makes no sense to me that his avatar is so fast set on getting the anti-life equation. Why would he? Why would he? If his regular self is that powerful, then he could already enslave all the creatures in the multiverse itself. Maybe outside the multiverse it might be harder because they're higher dimensional level of characters, but within it, he should be able to affect them all without even needing the anti-life equation. If they're saying he's as powerful, because if he's able to wipe out the entire multiverse easily, and is on a higher dimensional plane, then how is he not able to manipulate them? Like, explain that to me. That makes no sense. Like I said, he resides on the fourth world, but the fourth world is where his avatars already reside on. So where the hell is he there then? That's just kind of confusing.
Than his true self, it's a necessary handicap, as his own existence in a universe other than fourth world would shatter the laws of reality, ending time and space as we know it. The sheer power of the Omega effect threatens entire cosmos, similar to how its equal, the Astroforce, could counter an Oblivion bomb, capable of annihilating the
Oh god, the thing is over. Okay, this is right here.
universe in a single blast.
I'm gonna go back a little, sorry.
Counter an Oblivion bomb, capable of annihilating
A spear effect is beginning to radiate from the Oblivion bomb. Already, every atom in the universe is reacting to the impossible field. It says they're all reacting to it. That doesn't mean that they're all being destroyed by it. It just means they're having some reaction to it. Not saying that it isn't the case, but it's just saying that the Oblivion bomb field is consistent as the entire Omega effect absorbed in Batman was capable of destroying the universe. Darkseid has defeated the universe warping time trapper and also pre-Christ Superman who can survive the Big Bang. Okay, let me talk about this pre-Christ Superman surviving the Big Bang. That whole story where he survived the Big Bang, it's a weird story. What happened was he went there was this machine there, he went on the edge of the the Big Bang was happening, he came out, he tried to save it and stop it, and he got caught in it, and he was dead for a while, and then he came back, and everyone was wondering what happened, how did he come back, and we find out it was a kid's imagination of him coming back. So basically the story wasn't really canon. It was, the whole point was, oh, Superman cannot die as long as he lives in the hearts and minds of people, and he was living the heart and mind of this child, and this child was able to bring him back in existence. This story was very incoherent, it made no sense at all. It was one of those like spin-off stories that are supposed to be more meaningful than actual literal to take. Also, I've explained in my how the universe works. Surviving the Big Bang, there's no such thing as surviving the Big Bang. Here's the thing. Well, there is surviving the Big Bang, but it's not what you guys think it is. A lot of people think, if a character survives the Big Bang, that means they can survive a universe-destroying attack. No. The Big Bang had no explosion. The way the Big Bang started off was, it had two big things. One, a high amount of heat, and a high gravitational pressure. So when the universe first began, when the Big Bang happened, it was not an explosion, it was an expansion. What this means is an explosion was to have a detonation center, which the universe does not have because it moves in all directions. But the detonation center basically means it has a destructive force. So there's the detonation zone, then there's the destructive zone, then there's the shockwave zone when you have an explosion, whether it's a bomb or a star. But in expansion, there's no explosion in there, there's no destructive zone. It's just a high gravitational amount of pressure and high intensity heat. The heat back then I think was around like a Planck heat, which would be extremely hot. And the gravitational pressure was, I don't know to what extent, but it would definitely be, I guess, past that of a black hole. So if you're saying a character survives a Big Bang, you're not really going to be, in reality, you're not arguing that the character's surviving a universe-destroying attack. All you're basically saying is they can survive the heat that's comparable to the beginning of the universe and a gravitational pressure that the beginning of the universe was able to shoot out. But no, it's not. And even let's say, for argument of sake, that the Big Bang was an explosion, it still would not be equivalent to the universe size of the universe, because it took 13.8 billion years from when the Big Bang first happened to where it is now for the size of the universe to become. So basically, meaning if you were to set off, like, let's say a bomb, let's say it was a bomb, it would take at least 13.8 billion years to be equivalent to how much power it would take to destroy our universe now. So yeah, because if it wasn't, then the universe would have instantly been this big, you know, or in short amount of time, but it took quite a long time for it to get this massive. So it's not even that level. So yeah, pre-Christ Superman never really survived the Big Bang. That storyline, he actually died and a kid somehow imagined it. Those are ones that you shouldn't take serious, like the one where Superman basically kills Mixie-Spitalik with the whole, you know, he hits him with a portal gun that separates him in 2 dimensions and kills him. That was also one of those stories where it was written in a comic book, but it wasn't one of those ones that were canonical. It was non-canonical. Not saying the Oblivion Bomb could not destroy the universe, they still just haven't shown anything that was be universe level.
The universe in a single blast.
Holy shit! His avatar may lose some power, but it's still tough enough to survive a bomb Lex Luthor designed to rip apart existence, and a shot from Marvelous Marno's Master Blaster, which sounds like it was made up by a circus clown. And that kind of makes sense because apparently no life form can stand up to it.
See, statements like that, always no life form can stand up to it, it's just like, those are hyperbolic statements, those aren't literal statements. When people say that shit, it doesn't really mean anything. Like when Thanos' dad said, this gun can kill you. That gun could not kill him. If it didn't kill him, then it can't kill him. That's just how it works. That thing saying that, they're trying to say like, well, they're beyond conception of, you know, reality and living and stuff. It's like, dude, it's hyperbolic. Unless if it's actually been proven and shown 100%, it's just a hyperbolic statement they're making at that point. Just like with Lex saying it can wipe, it fucks up existence or whatever. That just seems like BS.
Just like clowns.
Except for Darkseid.
Well, Darkseid isn't immune to all guns. All you need is a neat little Radion bullet.
Think of Radion
Pointless in
as
this
the new
because
God's
how's Thanos gonna get that?
Stolen by death and his essence shattered by Superman. Singing of his soul stolen by death and his essence shattered by Superman. Singing.
They always use misinformation. They use the miracle machine. I even explained in my Cosmic Armor Superman debunking video. What he basically did is there's the miracle machine, which whatever thought you have, it can create whatever. And what he needed was a certain pitch frequency to disrupt Darkseid's other form, to basically destabilize it and destroy him and, you know, ruin his plan. So the miracle machine created this thing where Superman was able to scream a certain vibrational frequency into it, and then it sent it out, which basically disrupted his, corporeal form and, you know, wiped it out, and that's how they stopped him.
Hey, Darkseid, look at this photograph!
To this day, even after so many cataclysmic events, the Lord of Apocalypse continues his mission. Every living being in the multiverse will bend to the will of Darkseid.
It seems I have you to thank for my resurrection. Though your world will suffer slowly, I grant you a quick death.
Oh, he could have gone out, because now he's gonna be dying over and over and over.
Thanos was an incredible foe, especially while wielding the Infinity Gauntlet. Unfortunately, the gauntlet had a fatal flaw.
Yeah, that golden glove only works in its own universe, and Darkseid could easily move the fight to new ones with his boomstick tubes. Universe hopping is kind of his thing.
The Reed Richards of the Interdimensional Council of Reeds figured this out. Its 3 founding members, Reed, Reed, and Reed, each possessed Infinity Gauntlets, but discovered that they couldn't work outside of their own universes.
The Gauntlet had no problem making Darkseid's avatar not feel so good, but since Darkseid's true form was always in the Fourth World universe, Thanos couldn't actually...
Like I said, they're saying that his true form was in the Fourth World universe, but his avatar literally resides in the Fourth World. So this is one of... I know a lot of people go with the true form Darkseid, but I do have some problems with it, and I'll talk about it. I'll probably make a video in the future talking about true form Darkseid and how it works and stuff and what I feel about it. But he's saying that he resides in the Fourth World, but so does the avatar. So technically that wouldn't make sense. That's why one reason I don't believe the true form Darkseid is really a thing. It was just a one-time concept, but I don't think it was really a thing, because if you look at it throughout all the comic books, every avatar of Darkseid technically resided there, so that doesn't make sense.
Finish him off with the gauntlet.
Even if this fight took place in entirely neutral territory, the victor wouldn't change. Thanos' gauntlet wouldn't work, and true Darkseid's presence would actually just destroy everything just by being there.
But he didn't.
Let me explain that, because that's the biggest general misconception when it comes to Darkseid's power. People say, well, true form Darkseid was going to wipe out the multiverse when he was dying. Well, how did he die? If you read the comic book, it was, I forgot what it was. It was Final Crisis. If you read Final Crisis, they explain it. And from what I saw from Final Crisis was when he died, since, his, original form, which we've seen come through the fourth world, which they stated that he resides in the fourth world, but we've seen him coming through there, and he still was like normal power. He was the size of a star, they said, right? He's big enough to destroy the Earth. Now, let me give you a little bit of DC cosmology that some of you guys might not know, and even DC fans, even some DC fans don't know it, and the ones that do know it have been holding back on it because they're kind of, if I'm being honest, they're liars and they want to be biased. But the whole true form Darkseid destroying the whole, DC multiverse, how is it possible? Well, people assume that you just need the power to destroy the multiverse, right? But there's actually something that you can do without needing to have that much power. Technically, you would only need to be a planet buster in DC to be able to wipe out the DC multiverse. Well, how does that work? Well, the DC multiverse, there are different universes out there, obviously, and they're all connected to one universe, the Prime Universe, or, considered usually Earth 1 and Universe 1. Now, all of these universes have branched off from the original universe because of what happened with the Anti-Monitor when he was doing, science experiments. And this is all, and so like all these other universes are connected to the Earth Universe Prime, and those are all connected to Earth Prime. Earth is for some reason the focal point of the entire universe in DC. Maybe it's because, most of the characters come from there and, we're from there. But yeah, so the Earth is focal point. Why is this important? Well, this is important because the Prime Universe is connected to the multiverse, and without the Prime Universe, there is no multiverse. And even more specifically, Earth Prime. Without Earth Prime, there is no multiverse. What that basically means is, if you destroy Earth Prime, you technically will be wiping out all of the DC multiverse as a whole. It has been shown and stated in multiple comic books. There's even a movie of it where it was the Justice League versus the evil Justice League from Ultraman's universe and stuff, and Batman was fighting against his counterpart. I forgot what his name was. He was like Owlman or something like that. And Owlman was planning to wipe out the multiverse. Now, how was Owlman going to be able to wipe out the multiverse? In that movie, his plan was, while he was fighting them, he was trying to get a portal to go to Universe Prime, Earth Prime, set up on Earth Prime, set his machine on this bomb on Earth Prime that would blow up the planet. Thus, when the planet is destroyed, the entire multiverse would be destroyed. The bomb was not a multiversal level bomb. He could not create that, but it was a planet level bomb. And by destroying the planet, the Earth itself, it destroyed the multiverse. So what I'm basically saying here is, since Darkseid is the size of a star, if Darkseid was to fall down on the Earth, he would destroy it. And since the DC, the Prime Universe is connected to all the other universes, and the Earth especially, if you destroy the Earth, you destroy the other universes. What I'm getting at is, he is the size of a star, he's falling down on Earth Prime. If he was to contact Earth Prime and collapse on it, destroys the entire multiverse. So you wouldn't need to be multiversal. Hell, you wouldn't even need to be universal. You just need to be planet level. If you destroy Earth Prime in DC, you destroy the entire multiverse without even having to go through wiping out the entire multiverse as a whole. Now, some of you say, well, the multiverse was dying and he didn't come into contact with the Earth. But like I said, it was a focal point of, the multiverse itself. So since it was in threat, and every time he was getting closer, it was complete danger, and since his size is probably gravitational pressure was pulling onto it, the Earth was getting affected by it. And by the Earth getting affected by it, the multiverse was getting affected by it. So if he landed on the Earth, he would have destroyed the Earth, thus destroying the multiverse. I'm not saying that he's not multiversal level or high multiversal level or whatever, but I'm saying that comic book that people love to use need to realize how DC cosmology works. If you destroy the Earth Prime, you destroy the multiverse. And since him falling and his size and mass would have destroyed Earth Prime, technically would have destroyed the multiverse. So what I'm trying to say is, he was not that did not make a multiversal level, and he was not multiversal level for that. The only reason the multiverse was in jeopardy and in danger and going to get destroyed was because he was going to destroy Earth Prime, and it would have destroyed the multiverse. Now let's say if he was falling somewhere else besides Earth Prime, like let's say he was far away from Earth Prime in another location or in another universe, and he was falling, would he have destroyed the multiverse? Then we would have an argument. If he destroyed the multiverse falling somewhere else, then I'll be like, yeah, but he was falling down there in the Earth. And some of you guys might say, well, this is not true. Trust me, check out, any hardcore DC fans or online, you will find out that destroying Earth Prime itself would do that. And watching the movie Justice League versus I forgot what Ultraman's people were called, what their evil Justice League was called. But if you watch that one, they also mention in there. So yeah, that's why I don't take that whole him being multiversal level threat in his true form, destroying that, as seriously because of that.
Just lose because of the gauntlet. He really couldn't keep up with the space golem.
Even going toe-to-toe with a being as fast as Silver Surfer was nothing compared to when Darkseid took a trip to the edge of existence.
I already
This
talked
means
about it quite a
Darkseid
bit.
almost 28 octillion times faster than Thanos.
And his Omega effect scales to the Astro Force, which could equal the Oblivion Bomb's universe-destroying blast. This means the...
Not saying that that isn't the case, but once again, I just need to see, can you guys just give me a reference to the comic book so I can see totally? If it's true, I'll just say, okay, yeah, that's the case. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that I don't know for a fact, because what they stated right there, what was shown in the comic, didn't state that it would destroy the universe, just it was the atoms were reacting to it. So he says the total mass energy of the universe is around 40 septillion pho, with one pho equivalent to the energy of a supernova. That's about 3.5 decillion times greater than Thanos' black hole feet. Well, I don't know about that calculation, but I do know this. In the universe, it contains 2 trillion galaxies, and each galaxy contains around 100 billion to 200 billion stars. So if you were to times, around that, it would be around like the octillion times of that. But a supernova, the power that comes out is bigger than just a star. Some people say galaxy level. No, it's not. It doesn't. If that was the case, galaxies would be getting wiped out. It's just that the energy and the light that it emits from the explosion goes across through the galaxy and can outshine the galaxy as a whole. But yeah, the destructive force at most would be past solar system level, but I wouldn't put a galaxy level. I don't know about this calculation too much. I'm just giving you my own little one.
The Omega effect and Infinity Gauntlet were both pretty even in terms of destructive ability. But unlike Thanos, Darkseid can use his Omega powers whenever and wherever he wants.
Once he lost the gauntlet, Thanos could certainly survive star-level attacks, and even greater. But Universal
Well, this question about Darkseid could remove Thanos from his home universe. Darkseid is an experiment.
destruction is definitely a bit more than his purple Eternal Hide could handle. And even after that, Darkseid had plenty of ways to end the fight whenever he wanted, like the Omega Sanction.
Thanos was...
Like I said, the Mega Ascension, we've seen him use against Miracle Man. Miracle Man is not that powerful, let's be honest. I want to see how well it works against somebody like Superman. How well does it work against, somebody like Trigon? How does it work against somebody like, Constantine? These more heavier hitters. Because using against Miracle Man, that's a very low bar to use it. It's like, that doesn't mean he's going to work on Thanos.
super powerful, but Darkseid was just faster, stronger, and even more ruthless.
And if you think about it, Thanos needed the Infinity Gauntlet to become a god, but Darkseid already was one.
Thanos just couldn't
Run the gauntlet!
Oh, you son of a bitch!
So that's it for this death battle. This one was more of a heavier debated one. Like I said, I'm not saying one would win versus the other. I do think Darkseid would definitely beat Thanos and smoke him. But this is not me trying to say, oh, Thanos would win or Darkseid would win. It's just to point out some of the ridiculous statements that they make and try to explain more to people, because people do use these arguments themselves and run with it all the time. They talk about true form Darkseid, true form Darkseid. He's multiversal level. I already explained why the multiverse is getting destroyed, and there's other ways you could do it without doing that. Not saying that he wasn't, but show me another instance where he's shown multiversal level of power. Because usually when they show multiversal level of power, it's just that one, and I already had a reasoning why that was the case, and it would argue against it. But the true form Darkseid, this is one that's very contested. I personally don't believe in the true form Darkseid thing too much. Reason why I say that is, well, one, we've only seen that in the Final Crisis. Before that, there was no mention of it, and after that, there was no mention of it. And I do want to go a little bit more in depth on something that I know about that. But yeah, people keep on mentioning that, but here's the thing about comics. Comic books are very complicating. The thing about comic books is they change over time a lot. Sometimes at one point a writer might say establish this or that, but then later in the future they might change it anyway. So writers do that a lot. Sometimes they establish something that's they change something that was previously established and write a new continuity and say this is what it is, and then they change it up again. So even though at that time in 2008 they're like, whoa, the entire time you guys thought that this was Darkseid, no, that's not Darkseid, that's his avatar, this is true form Darkseid. But that doesn't mean in the future it won't be contradicted or, you know, changed. So don't take this as this is literally means for the rest of their comic book writing or existence that that's the case, because it's not always the case in those argument. But another thing I wanted to say about the true form Darkseid argument, people keep on saying that the other one was that, but it's like the true form Darkseid concept was not from the beginning. It only came out more recently. He came out around like the 60s or 70s. I'm pretty sure around those times that was never a concept. So people trying to use this newer argument for all these other times that we've seen Darkseid getting beat, it doesn't really work. I think this only works for around this time and after. But way before it, no. It's like saying something, because if something happened in the future, you can't equate it back to what happened all the way in the back in the past, which never existed. It's just an illogical way of thinking. So yeah, you can make this argument for future Darkseid, but not past Darkseid, unless it was consistent with the story, which it was not, because they keep on mentioning the fourth world. But we've seen the avatars in the fourth world and come through it and stuff, and we saw it, so that contradicts it. Another thing I want to talk about this, and I don't want to go too much on it. If you see the more recent comic books, it's not Rebirth. I forgot what it's called, the Infinity Front or Front Infinity, whatever. I've read a couple of the comic books of it, and I've seen a couple of videos of it. I haven't seen too much, but I did hear the Infinite Frontier or whatever. And the end of the whole fight between the Batman who laughs and Wonder Woman getting these godly powers, you see these other high level godly beings being there, telling her you can be a godly being like us, or you can go back to normal life. She went and chose her normal life, and then they got wiped out by sorry for that. They got wiped out by Thanos. Thanos wiped them out. I mean, not Thanos. Darkseid. Darkseid wiped them out by himself. Now it was like, this is true form Darkseid coming out and stuff, because he wiped out some high level beings. And then he comes and fights against Superman, and you see him fighting, and even prior to that in the Batman Who Laughs, and we have a mentioning of true form Darkseid, but he does not look like the corporeal form. He looks like his regular avatar, just bigger and with tusks like an elephant. So yeah, basically now they're talking about and showing true form Darkseid, and even though he's still powerful, he hasn't shown to be as powerful as he was in Final Crisis, where he was technically, multiversal level or high multiversal level of a being. He just seems like regular Avatar Darkseid, but just stronger. So yeah, I don't know if true form Darkseid is 100% true. I'm not going to say it isn't, but I'm not going to go with it either like the DC fans say. I need more evidence or an argument of proof that proves that, yeah, true form Darkseid actually exists. Because the comic book that has come out right now has kind of been contradicting what was established in Final Crisis, like I assumed it would be. So yeah, we need to see more of that. I will be checking out that one to see more of the correlation between, what's the thing called? True form Darkseid. So yeah, I'll be making a video on that on the future, but for right now, this is it. I hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for next time.